USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
Democrats and Republicans in the U.S. Senate reportedly reaching a deal with the White House now on a $2 trillion stimulus package that they've been debating for several days, aimed at combating the fallout from the coronavirus pandemic. Meanwhile, Vice President Mike Pence says the White House is focusing on one part of the nation when it comes to responding to the outbreak.
If you're in the New York City metropolitan area or elsewhere, to take the guidelines that we issued and avoid non-essential travel.
The heir to the British throne, Prince Charles, testing positive for the virus, reportedly displaying mild symptoms and in self-isolation in Scotland. Bernie Sanders continuing his campaign for the Democratic presidential nomination. His campaign says he's looking forward to taking part in an April debate with Joe Biden. This is USA Radio News.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
Well, the energy is good. You know, you hear the commercials and it sounds, pretty hokey, to be perfectly honest. But I used to get tired at early afternoon, and now I don't get tired till evening. And I don't get sleepy as early as I used to. And I definitely have more energy. I have fewer aches and pains. I haven't had any colds. It seems to be working. So we'll keep going with it.
Don't wait to see what getting over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can do for you. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order of fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com, and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code USA.
Turkey is now charging 20 Saudi nationals for their alleged involvement in the killing of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The New York Times saying an indictment was unveiled late yesterday for the 2018 murder of the journalist at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. The indictment accusing the former deputy head of Saudi Arabia's General Intelligence Agency and a former royal court advisor of having, in its words, instigated premeditated murder with monstrous intent. A judge is denying former presidential personal attorney Michael Cohen's request for a reduced or modified prison sentence. He had wanted the court to let him serve his sentence from home because of concerns about the coronavirus. Stock futures rallying after the Senate and the Trump administration, as we mentioned moments ago, reached a deal on a coronavirus economic relief package. Dow futures up almost 600 points. And this is USA Radio News.
Here's your Georgetown forecast from the Hip Radio Network Weather Center. Clear skies and quiet today with daytime highs approaching 91. Southwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies and quiet again tonight. Lows dip down to about 63. Highs around 87 tomorrow. Partly cloudy. Upper 80s Friday, turning much cooler on Saturday with highs in the mid-70s. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 58 degrees.
Broadcasting worldwide from the Ashby Real Estate Broadcast Studio. This is Hip Radio Network, Georgetown, your hometown station.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The switch is on. Welcome to Good Morning Georgetown with Rob and Ken. Waking you up in the mornings and getting your day started with the hottest hits, news, and jokes. Get ready. And now here's your hosts, Rob Hip and Ken Covington.
Good morning, wonderful Georgetown community. I hope everybody is having a wonderful Wednesday morning. I know it's tough out there for a lot of us, for many folks, with this new stay-at-home, stay-safe order. There's a lot of businesses, though, that are still able to keep their doors open, and so we're going to talk about that this morning. I've got a very special guest that will be on the show around 8 a.m., Mr. Brent Webster, who will be joining us. Brent is an attorney here in this area. I've known Brent a long time, and he is going to answer some legal questions coming up a little bit later around the 8 a.m. time. There's been a lot of chatter on social media about folks with the stay home, stay safe order. And Brent Webster, an attorney with Edwards Sudarwala law firm based out of Houston and Austin, is going to be on the show. Again, I've known Brent a long time, and I very much appreciate him being able to be on the show this morning. We're going to keep the show going. I'm actually working out of my home studio, and we remote back into our station at just up the road here, about 10 miles north of us. And so we're going to keep things going every morning. I know that stay home, stay safe order is through April the 13th, and so we're going to keep the show going right here, friends. You know, we want to continue to provide resources to you as a community, and that's one reason I started this station back in January of this year, was to be able to find ways to engage with Georgetown and to give back to the community through information and valid resources, and that's what we're trying to provide. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to be on here as long as we can, and I don't see anybody knocking on the door here to shut us down, because I'm working out of the house, basically. We've got a studio here right next to me. If you notice behind me today, I wanted to show the American flag on this beautiful barn. This was an image that I grabbed off Pixabay. It's a royalty-free image, but I think that flag is more beautiful today than it's ever been. And friends, we got to remember that what does that flag represent? That flag represents a country that we need to be unified and not divided. That flag represents hope. That flag represents the American dream. And through all of this, I promise you, friends, we're going to get through it. I wanted to mention a few things. I'll get to that in a minute. Yesterday we had Rachel Hancock on our show. She's doing something very important for the business community in Georgetown, helping out a lot of businesses with these beautiful watercolors that she has put together of businesses downtown in the historic district, and all the proceeds from that goes to benefit those local businesses. If you're on the Facebook live stream, I'm going to post that link on here right now. But again, I'll post it here in a minute. It's kind of tough whenever I'm rolling solo because I'm producing the show. I'm kind of doing everything on my own. And it's nice whenever I have a guest on the show because I'm able to bounce ideas off of them. You guys don't see it a lot, but in the background, when I have a guest, I'm still listening to them. But I'm in the middle of generating links and sending information to folks who are sending in questions and those kind of things. So when I'm rolling solo, it's it's a little bit different, but we still make it happen. And that's what we're going to keep doing here. So, again, Brent will be on at 8 a.m., and then we're also going to talk to Ken Covington hopefully here in about 5 minutes. I talked to Ken, and we're going to try to get a call in with Mr. Ken Covington this morning. I'm going to go over some local news and some headlines as well. We'll have that information and more. We'll also talk more about this stay home, stay safe order that was issued in Georgetown. First, I want to know, everybody that's on the Facebook stream, how you doing this morning? How are you holding up? Are you working? Are you able to work? What business are you in? Share with me on that Facebook live stream this morning. We've got quite a few friends that are already on that this morning. Share with us your thoughts and what you're doing and, just where you're at. I would love to hear from you this morning. If you're on the HRN app, we've got quite a few listeners that are starting to be devoted to that app as well. If you're on that this morning, send us a text message at 512-686-2030. Again, that number is 512-686-2030. I'd love to hear from you this morning as well. Let us know where you're listening from today. We've got, actually this week, a full week of guests already booked up, and so that's something that I'm really excited about. We want to continue to have guests on the show. We're going to do it remotely. Even if there's folks that are in non-essential businesses, essential businesses, we're not going to have anybody in studio to comply with these orders. Now, some of the essential businesses are media, but I don't feel like this show is essential enough to have people in studio. And so we're going to honor that just on our own and make sure that we don't have people in here. And, just try to keep everybody healthy. I've been seeing so much on social media still about how, the flu affects so many people. Cigarette smoke affects so many people. Why aren't we locking down that? Well, one, cigarette smoke is a choice unless you're around someone who smokes, but for the most part, that's a choice. And then the flu, I mean, it's not as contagious as this COVID-19. And we just want to be factual with what we're doing and not, spread a bunch of fear or anything like that. And so we just want to present the facts. And we had Dr. Chow Wen on this show from Okna Health just a few days ago, and we're able to talk to him about COVID-19. Yeah, I'm a little bummed out. I had shared this show in another group here in Georgetown, and I guess we got kicked out of that group. So if we offended anybody that knows about that, I'm sorry. I'm not here promoting businesses right now. We're here promoting information to the community, and so and I didn't receive any notification on it. So if we've offended you or we broke a rule, it'd be nice to know that, and we'll make sure not to break that anymore. Again, I'm just trying to relay information to our community, and I think it's important that people know really what's going on around here. And we've got a lot of really educational programs that we bring here on Good Morning Georgetown, just like this morning with Brent, who's going to be talking about the legal side. And that's why you want to be part of the show, especially at 8 a.m., because we are going to talk to Brent about those legal questions. And if you've got those questions, feel free to send them in once we go live with him on at 8 a.m., and we would love to hear from you. Many of you have questions wondering, hey, what's going to happen if I get pulled over while I'm driving? What are the legal implications of all of this stay home, stay safe order? Brent's going to answer those questions. And so it's an opportunity for you to reach out to somebody who knows the laws and really get a response back. By the way, Brent from Georgetown, a graduate of Southwestern University, and we'll talk more to him at the 8 a.m. hour as well. Friends, kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier about helping local businesses and why I started HRN. I had an IT business here. Those that know me, I had an IT business here for 15 years and sold that to pursue my passion in broadcasting. And, on days like the past couple of months with this COVID-19, especially this month, sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I was still in the IT world because media right now, it's been tough. It's been tough being able to engage with folks. Of course, that's what media is all about, is reaching out and engaging with people. But we're using technology to keep that going. And that's what we're going to do is just try to promote wherever we can and really help keep the wheels spinning here in Georgetown. But going back, speaking about business in Georgetown and promotion, we're going to launch a form on HRN pretty soon, and that'll probably get done sometime today. And what that form is going to entail is if you are a business in Georgetown that needs help. We focused a lot on the residents here in this community, and I fully support that. There's a lot of organizations that are pulling together to help out residential people here in our community, especially the elderly. We're going to continue to promote that. But something that's very near and dear to my heart, especially this morning waking up, is wondering what else can we do to help promote the business community in our beloved Georgetown. And so a little bit later today, and I want you to hear this especially if you're a business this morning, a little bit later today we are going to announce a form, and we'll put that out on our Hip Radio Network Facebook page as well as the Good Morning Georgetown page. And my personal Facebook that you're watching this Facebook live stream on right now. If you're on Facebook, if you're on the app, you'll just go to hrngeorgetown.com. We're putting out a form, though, and I want you to hear this. If you're a business, be brutally honest with what your needs are on that form. We're going to ask some questions on that form, okay? And I want folks that are business owners especially, and I'm just going to trust that you're going to be honest, and we're going to go off of that. We want to know exactly what your needs are. I don't care if it's financial needs. Spell that out to us on that form, and we're going to do whatever we can on HRN to put that on our website. And keep in mind, whatever information you put there, unless you say don't share this, but this is what's going on, whatever information you put on that form, we're going to share that on our website, a special section of our HRN website. Because, friends, look, there's businesses that need things right now. I've talked to many other business owners right now that are wondering, especially small business, how am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? I want you to be brutally honest with what your needs are. And we're going to post that, again, on hrngeorgetown.com. That's going to be a form that you can fill out, put down what your needs are. And you know what? If maybe you don't have any needs and you just want to help other people, put that as well. We just want to get information from the business community. For me, it doesn't matter where you're at in Georgetown. This is specifically, and not to take anything away from other businesses outside of our community, but this is Georgetown's hometown station. We are focusing on Georgetown. So if you are in Georgetown or the ETJ, and I'm going to include smaller communities, there's friends out there in these other communities that are being forgotten about right now that are right next door to us. And so we're going to open this up to smaller communities in Williamson County as well. I know that may contradict what I just said, but I just started thinking about our friends just up the road in Jarrell who may need help, our friends in Granger who may need help, our friends in Thrall or Thorndale. We're going to put down some cities on that form, especially Georgetown, though, of what you need. And we're going to put that out on our website and make it public. And if we need to start doing GoFundMes, if we need to start raising revenue, again, be honest about that. There's no shame in saying, hey, we're losing $10,000 in revenue this month. We've got to figure out how to do things. We want to know what those are because you never know. There may be somebody out there that's going to see that on a website and they're going to say, I know those guys and I want to be able to help them out. That's what we're going to do. So stay tuned to HRN Georgetown on our website. We'll release that probably around noon today. If you are a business in the community, especially Georgetown, but even some of the smaller areas, we're going to put out that information and try to figure out what we can do to help you guys out and all of that this morning. Michael Price joining us. Hey, buddy, I hope you're doing okay. Michael over at Grand Endeavor Homes. Appreciate you, Michael. He's talking about construction continuing, and I think that's a very important industry right now as we need things to keep the economy going, and construction, of course, very important. And, Michael, share with us a little bit more. You're with the Georgetown Beard Club, and I'd love to hear more from you about y'all's club. Of course, we're going to have some of you guys on the show here before too long. I've talked to you about it. We'll try to get that maybe set up for a remote conference next week. But I would love to have you guys from the Georgetown Beard Club on the show to talk more about what is going on during this time and what you guys are in need of and how you're continuing to help. So I'd love to hear from you guys on that as well. So thanks for chiming in, Michael. He's on our Facebook live stream. Cheryl sending us a message saying that I work for an engineering consultant firm and have worked at home for over a year and a half. So no change for her there, Cheryl. Well, glad that you're able to continue working, and I hope that things will pick up. Good morning to you, Jeffrey Black. I grew up with Jeff and his family, heading to the doctor this morning for an appointment. Jeffrey, I hope you stay safe, buddy, and that everything is going okay in your world. Javier Pineda joining us on Good Morning Georgetown. Good morning, Javier. Hope you're doing great, buddy. And also Debbie sending us a message just a few moments ago. Good morning to you, Debbie. We're going to step aside just for a brief moment. I'm going to check in with Ken Covington, hopefully have him on the line. He is a business that is affected right now by this as Ken's Guitars is closed down on the square. We'll step aside, though, here for just a brief moment. We'll take a break here on KHGT-DB. Good morning, Georgetown, your hometown station. When we come back, we'll talk more about this whole situation with the coronavirus, how it's affecting local businesses, and then at the 8 a.m. hour, we'll have Brent Webster, an attorney, here to answer your questions about the stay home, stay safe orders. We'll also have news and more. Stay with us, friends. We'll be right back. This is Good Morning Georgetown here on the Hip Radio Network.
Here's your Georgetown forecast from the Hip Radio Network Weather Center. Clear skies and quiet today with daytime highs approaching 91. Southwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies and quiet again tonight. Lows dip down to about 63. Highs around 87 tomorrow. Partly cloudy. Upper 80s Friday, turning much cooler on Saturday with highs in the mid-70s. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 58 degrees.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
After weeks of mixed messages and then days of conflicting reports, the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has announced that Japan will delay the 2020 Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo until next year as a result of the global coronavirus pandemic. Here in the United States, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she is still optimistic that a deal will be struck soon on a huge economic stimulus package to help businesses and American workers in the face of the crisis. Pelosi saying Senate Democrats are doing the right thing in renegotiating a Republican stimulus bill.
We all appreciate the urgency. It's a big responsibility to do it right and for where we can find shared values.
Pelosi telling CNBC that the GOP bill was too focused on corporations and needs to help American workers more. And this is USA Radio News.
Broadcasting worldwide from the Ashby Real Estate Broadcast Studio. This is HIP Radio Network, Georgetown, your hometown station.
Welcome back, friends. Rob Hip here with Good Morning Georgetown. Hope everybody is doing okay this morning. Just trying to take a quick break here and see if we can get Ken on the line. I talked to him a little bit earlier. I'm not sure if he is out there yet this morning. I believe he is. Ken, do we got you, buddy?
Hello?
Hey, Ken, can you hear me? He's sitting there saying hello. Hold 1 second here. We'll get him on. Hey, Ken, do you got me?
I do.
You sound like, hello, what are you doing calling me? I'm just kidding.
I didn't know the number didn't come up as Rob Hip. It just came up as a number, and I get scared when I get one of those.
That's why I have that. I have the screen call button on, on my Android phone, man. So that it works out really well. Well, Ken, I appreciate you calling in, man. You know, it's tough here because of this stay home, stay safe order for a lot of businesses, and of course. You're one of the co-founder. You are the co-founder. There's not one of it's you and me founding this show many years ago, and Ken calling in from his house this morning. Ken, I wanted to chat with you real quick, man, because your business is greatly affected by this. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and just with your Ken's Guitars business? I know it's tough with this stay-home order, man.
Yeah, it's of course it's just day one. It seems like the regular day to me because I just woke up. But anyway, I've had one cup of coffee so far, and but yeah, it's going to be, it hadn't really hit me yet, I don't think, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, we've lost, we teach, probably giving guitar lessons and music lessons in general is probably the biggest part of my business, and I have two teachers that are staying home, and they're giving lessons via FaceTime or whatever, so that's good. So I'm gonna try to do that as well. And I think you said you could even hook me up with that. So I'm gonna get with you about that later. But anyway, yeah, business has been slow already, and but I'm gonna just do the best I can,
Well, Ken, if you don't mind me asking this, just because you're a business owner down on the square, and I'm not trying to put a landlord or anybody like that, of course, under the bus, but, do you know if landlords are working, with your business, are they working with other businesses on the square during this time?
Well, the Novick, Michael Novick, not the Novak brothers, but Michael Novick, who owns my business, he lives in California. And the other owner lives up in the Gerald Salado area. But anyway, they did send an email out 2 weeks ago saying that they're going to cut our rent in half in April and May.
Man, that is great.
And, yeah, so that saves a lot of money right there, but it's still going to be pretty tight even with just paying half of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but they are doing that, and which is very awesome. So let's go.
Well, something really,
that helps a lot.
Something really cool, and we'll share that here in a minute. Radio Georgetown 106.7, our nonprofit station here in Georgetown that focuses a lot on local artists, shared a link yesterday, financial resources for musicians. I'll post that here on our Facebook live stream and as well as hrngeorgetown.com a little bit later today. But Ken, you're a musician, man. Also, it's not that you just have Ken's Guitars on the square, but man, you go out and do these music gigs as well. How is that affecting the music community, and how are artists getting by at this time, Ken?
I really don't know how they're getting by. I haven't really talked to too many of them. I just, I do know that everybody's out of work that sings anywhere. It's because that's pretty much anywhere they play that's entertainment is being shut down. Like I sing about 6 to 8 different retirement homes. You can't even go in those now. Even the workers there are having to wear a mask, and so yeah, I'm losing quite a bit of money there, and also. I sing at Gumbo's with Jody Berry. We play there every Sunday and Monday night, and that's a huge income for me right there. So, yeah, and that pays all my personal bills just doing those gigs. So, yeah, it's going to be a nip and tuck for me for quite a while. So,
well,
but thank goodness the landlords did cut our rent in half, which that is a huge savings right there.
Yeah, and it's a situation that's Ken, I still wake up every morning and I have this mindset, and maybe a lot of folks out there can kind of feel this same sentiment. Is this even real? Are we really going through this right? And that's kind of how I feel, man. Although I've been like that my whole life, kind of like, is this even real? I think they make medicine for that, But
I wake up. I've been doing that every morning. I wake up and I don't even know what day it is. And then it kind of sits in. I go, is this? I keep waiting for this nightmare to go away. It's kind of like it's like you had a bad dream where the whole world was taken over by a virus. You wake up, you think, okay, that was just a dream, but then you realize, nope. You turn on TV and it's still there. So.
Well, I'm looking this morning, reading over some of that information. I just posted the link on our Facebook live stream. Again, we'll post that as well. In fact, I'll put it on our Twitter here in just a little bit. So if you're on Twitter, just follow us at HRN Georgetown. That's HRN Georgetown on Twitter. I'll post that here in just a minute. But there is assistance that has been set up from the Texas Music Office. I didn't even realize these guys were – I'd never heard of them. Have you heard of these guys, Ken, the Texas Music Office?
Not the Texas Music Office, but I know that there's a thing down in Austin. It's to support. I know it's where musicians can get health insurance and that kind of thing. I know there's such a thing as that. I've never really dealt with them in person, but I do know it's out there.
Yeah, I've never heard of this Texas Music Office, and they've actually put together some resources here. So if you're a musician. And again, I'm going to post this on our Twitter here. Ken, I talk about how it's always cool when I have a host here in studio, because I can kind of you see me when you're in studio. I'm kind of leaning over, working on other things. But whenever I'm by myself at the studio, I'm thankful to have you on the phone this morning for a little bit, because I can kind of do a little background stuff. But I'm kind of reaching over trying to send out these links this morning. But we'll post that on Twitter again on the HRN Georgetown Twitter. But it's talking about it. There's several grants that have been issued, Ken. This was part of there's a bunch of them here. I've never even heard of these, Ken. One of them is the American Federation of Musicians Petrillo Memorial Fund. This was started in 1951, a $10,000 personal contribution from AFM President James C. Petrillo in memory of his late son. The Lester Petrillo Memorial Fund for Disabled Musicians, a charitable trust fund that provides financial aid to disabled members of the American Federation of Musicians. This fund is not intended to replace health insurance or provide loans, but it does supply modest amounts of assistance to qualified applicants on an emergency basis. I mean, that's just one of many, Ken. I'm looking at this webpage, and my goodness, there's probably 10 or 11 different funds that you can apply for. There's an American Guild of Musical Artists Relief Fund that is working now to help during the COVID-19 pandemic. There's an Austin Creative Arts Alliance Artist Emergency Relief Fund. I mean, this is incredible. This is one you can apply. It doesn't seem like much, but every little bit helps, saying that artists may apply, for up to $500 to replace verifiable lost income due to the cancellation of a specific scheduled gig due to COVID-19. So there you go, Ken. I mean, that's one right there that you could apply for, and many others.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
The Blues Foundation Heart Fund, that's the Handy Artist Relief Trust. That's another one. Dallas Artist Relief Fund, Equal Sound Corona Relief Fund, Facebook's COVID-19 small business grants program, offering $100 million in cash and credits for up to 30,000 eligible small businesses around the world. The Gospel Music Trust Fund. I mean, there's all sorts of things that you can apply for here as a musician. You said you haven't really talked to many of your musician friends yet in the industry, but, I'm just, from you, they're saying April the 13th is when they're going to lift the stay home, stay safe order. But man, can I kind of have the feeling that we may not even get school in this year, and that's not official from the school district. How's your son holding up from this?
Oh, he's doing fine. They have this game called Fortnite, There's Fortnite you can play with people all over the country or world, for that matter. So it's kind of, he stays occupied with that. But today we're going to stay occupied mowing the grass to start with, which is good. It's going to be a nice, pretty day. It's real dry. It's going to be real dry today, by the way. Like humidity is going to be low. So we're going to mow the grass. We're going to do a guitar lesson. We're going to do a few things. And, it's like probably get in the car and drive around. I don't know if I'll get arrested for that, but can I get arrested for driving around in my car?
I don't. That's a good question. You'll have to type that question in on the Facebook. Seriously, I mean, that's a good question. Brent's going to be on with us around 8 a.m. this morning. And,
I'm going to listen to that. I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
I'm going to put that in. You said, can you get arrested for driving around your car?
Yeah, I mean, can I, if I go to if I leave my house and go to, park behind my store and go in and work, am I allowed to do that without being open? That's a big question for me. I have plenty of work I can do at the store, a lot of catching up to do. So can I do that without being arrested?
That's a good.
I was going to ask Roland Wade's that. I was going to see, but he's probably bombarded with all kinds of stuff going on, so I hate to bother him. So I'm anxious to listen to your show. Yeah, can you go to your store and work privately? Is my big question.
Yeah, man, that's a good question.
I have plenty. Yeah, I have plenty I can do, and I'll be isolated from anybody. So.
Well, I think it's it's definitely some things that we're going to have to get those questions answered and kind of figure out. And there's so many questions about that. I'm working, of course, out of you've been over here several times before we moved to our commercial studio up the road. I've always said in broadcasting you shouldn't say a lot. And those past couple of weeks, Ken, I've just caught myself doing it again. Yeah,
man. Yeah, it's
that's one.
See, I just did it just then. I went.
So now that's going to be on my mind. Every time I'm on the show, man. We'll be okay. Hey, you know what today is though, Ken? Can I have a little fun with you here just for a few minutes?
Sure.
Since you're not here in studio, but we got you on the phone, I wanted to hear your thoughts on this. Okay, today, of course, March the 25th. We're going to step away from COVID for a few minutes. We're going to have a little bit of fun. It's the National Day of Many Things. Okay, Ken? National Day of Many Things here. All right. Growing up, did you have one of those little red wagons? The metal, what is it, the Red Flyer wagon? Did you ever have one of those? Okay, well,
I did. I remember rusting out, and I got all sad.
All right, well, here's something. And they don't make them like that anymore. Now they're plastic. Okay, On the last Wednesday in March, which is today, this, by the way, from nationaldaycalendar.com, today is National Little Red Wagon Day. Who would have thought that they would have remembered the Little Red Wagon? It's the National Little Red Wagon Day, celebrating the memories in making and the ones that have already been made. It's the iconic toy that wields the power of imagination for adults and children alike as it brings us together to explore, laugh, and play. 100 years, Radio Flyer has been bringing those smiles to kids with the Little Red Wagon. Of course, the metal ones, I still think those were the best. But how many times have you seen them Little Red Wagons, the Red Flyer wagons, Ken, in a parade?
Probably quite a bit. Probably every parade you ever seen.
What is your thoughts on how we observe Little Red Wagon Day today, Ken? How do you think that we observe today? I've got it right here, the official way to observe the day. How do you think we do it?
Well, if I did it, I would just put a guitar in it and pull it around, in a parade. If I was in a parade, I'd put a guitar in it and just, roll it down the road, or pull it down the road, and that's what I would do.
Well, if we weren't in the stay home, stay safe orders right now, Ken, I'd show up to your house with one, and I would ask you to sit in an Indian style, and I'd pull you through your neighborhood.
There you go.
Well,
I can remember. Now, I'm glad you brought that up because I can remember my red wagon. I mean, I grew up in Southeast Texas where things would rust. Okay, I mean, humidity. The humidity in Southeast Texas is. I mean, we have no humidity here compared to there. And I know you've been to Beaumont, and I don't know. Of course, you went during the winter months, but anyway.
No, it was still pretty. It was still pretty humid there, man. That whole area.
Yeah, but anything. I can remember cars rusting. Now, cars don't rust like they used to. I can remember cars rusting, and everything would rust because of the salt in the air. It's real close to the Gulf of Mexico. So I can remember my red wagon rusting, and I would try to keep things in it, and it would fall through. Whatever I had in the wagon would fall through because I think my dad finally put a piece of wood on the bottom of it. And then
the wood rotted through, huh?
It can last a little longer, yeah.
Well, here's how you officially observe that's almost a tongue twister, Little Red Wagon Day. As the weather gets warmer and spring officially begins, use the day. Okay, now we can't right now because of the stay home, stay safe orders. Use the day. You can still get outside, though. Use the day to encourage kids to get outside, get active, and go wherever their imagination takes them. There you go. That's how you do it today.
Yeah.
I would have said the way that I would celebrate it is show up to Ken Covington's house with the tiniest little red wagon I could find and ask Ken to sit in an Indian style and pull him through the neighborhood.
Well, there you go. That would be fun.
Now there's more than just one event, a National Day event every day. Did you know that? It's not just National Little Red Wagon Day. You want to hear a few more of these, Ken? You got a few more minutes?
Yeah, I do.
This is also National Lobster Newburg Day. I have no idea. I've never even heard of it. Lobster Newburg. Yeah. Have you had that seafood dish before? I've never heard of it.
No, I haven't.
All right. Well, this includes lobster, butter, cream, cognac, sherry, eggs, and cayenne pepper. Sounds like something.
Yeah.
Sounds like something to give me reflux really bad.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds like a heartburn to me.
Del Montisos of New York debuted Lobster Newburg in 1876. It was a sea captain by the name of Ben Winberg developed the elegant and rich dish. He demonstrated the recipe to restaurant manager Charles DeMoncio. Chef Charles Rofnauer made refinements, and they added the creation to the restaurant's menu as Lobster à la Winberg. It wasn't long before the dish grew in popularity. Here's the rest of the story, though. We're reading this from National Day Calendar. However, an argument between Winberg and manager Chris Del Moncio caused the dish to be removed from the menu. After many requests from patrons, Del Moncio's returned the dish with a new name. The entree became known as the Lobster Newburg. Never heard of it. And I'm not really excited about eating it. Is there anybody out there that has actually eaten or heard of Lobster Newburg? I haven't, Ken, and I don't really care to eat it.
Sounds like a New England dish to me.
That's it. So that's how you do it, man. It's Lobster Newburg. We got a couple more, Ken. If you got a few more minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
This one's a huge one. This one's important. Today is also the National Medal Day of Honor.
That's important.
It started on March the 25th, 1863. Secretary of War at that time, of course, Edwin Stanton, presented the first medals of honor in the Army to 6 members of Andrews Raiders for their volunteering and participation during an American Civil War raid in April of 1862. So just the year prior. This award was created in 1861. The Medal of Honor is the United States of America's highest military honor. It is awarded only to U.S. military personnel by the President of the United States in the name of Congress for personal acts of valor above and beyond the call of duty. There are 3 versions of this medal, one for the Army, one for the Navy, and one for the Air Force. Personnel of the Marine Corps and Coast Guard receiving the Navy version. How many do you think that there has been awarded, Ken, since the creation of this in 1861? Just take a guess. How many of these do you think has been awarded?
Oh, my word. I'm going to just take a wild guess. 1,250.
You were about 2,000 short. 3,468 medals of honor have been awarded to the country's soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardmen. Here's how you observe it, and I think today is really important, and it really kind of flows, honestly, with what I've got in the backdrop today of this beautiful American flag. If you've seen it on Facebook yet this morning, Ken, we've got a shed here, and those that are on the HRN app, of course, you can't see it, but we've got a beautiful American flag and a shed behind me. Here's how you observe it today. Some federal, state, local military organizations, they may hold events recognizing the recipients today. Of course, unfortunately, not going to be happening here with COVID-19. The events may be public or private. Other ways to participate include volunteering for your local veteran organization, donating to a veteran service organization, adopt a Medal of Honor gravesite. I want to look up more about that, Ken. I think that sounds like something tremendous. Fly the U.S. flag at your home or business, visit the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, or visit local memorial sites. So that is today, and this was actually recognized, the National Medal Day of Honor history, the recognition of this started in 1990 when the U.S. Congress designated this day each year as the National Medal of Honor Days. I think that's pretty cool, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's an awesome thing to do.
I've got one more. There's actually a couple more, but I'm only going to read one more, Ken. This one you may appreciate. I know how big you are on sea animals, Ken. I know that you've got pictures of them all over your house. Today, Ken, guess what sea animal it's Appreciation Day for today, Ken?
Well, I'm kind of I like elephants, and so I think elephant would be my favorite sea animal.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I like large animals. I'm going to go with a whale.
Hey, man, you were close. In a way, you were close.
I like octopus and whales. They're kind of like my favorite sea animal. Sea creatures.
Well, here's what's cool, because you mentioned that you like elephants, even though we're not talking. That was a joke, but you do like elephants.
I do.
Today is also Manatee Appreciation Day.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the only day, of course, focusing on manatees. There's 3 species of manatees that inhabit slow rivers, canals, and saltwater bays, estuaries, and coastal areas around the world. The Amazonian, West Indian, and American manatees have differing lifespans. Guess how long the American manatee lives, Ken? Guess how long the American manatee lives?
I know I've seen this in aquariums. I'm guessing 75 to 80 years.
Pretty close. 60 years is how long the American manatee. That would be a good pet. If you're like in your 40s, if you're in your 40s, then you could have, it's tough because I love dogs, but dogs usually go 15, 20 years.
Right.
Well, my dogs do. People, I hear folks, man, and it's heartbreaking because I hear folks with, their poor animals, their pets may only live 8, 9, 10 years. For some reason, I've been blessed. My dogs live like 15 to 20 years. I think it's because I spoil them way too much.
Right, yeah.
My buddy Fletcher, I think he's going on, 2014? He's 16 years old now, man. And and then my Jenny, she lived, I always say my Jenny. That's why I called her that. She made it to 20, man. And so it's tough when you lose a pet, But if you're
when you lost your dog a few years ago.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Well, if you're in your 30s or 40s, consider getting an American manatee because they'll live about 60 years, so pretty good chance they'll outlive you. I don't know where you'd keep it, but go ahead and get one, Ken.
Really, I've got a backyard. I could, of course, it'd be pretty expensive to put a big enough pool in there for him, but.
Well, these they spend most.
Manatees are also a cool animal. They're huge, and
Well,
I don't know. They're very peaceful looking when they swim. You know, when you watch them swim or go through the water.
they're known as sea cows. That's a nickname for them. And they're also related to the elephant, Ken. So there you go. You know how much they weigh? Up to 1,200 pounds. They graze for 8 hours a day. I didn't know this. They continually replace their teeth. A new set is always growing behind the current set of teeth. How cool would that be if we always had a new set of teeth coming in?
That would be cool. We wouldn't have to go to the dentist.
Well, Ken, any final thoughts from you? It's a little bit after 8. I'm going to bring Brent Webster on here in just a little bit. Just wanted to chat with you. Any final thoughts before we let you go this morning, buddy?
Well, this is day one of the quarantine, and I'm anxious to hear what he has to say about can a store owner go to their store, like I'm going to get in my car.
Well, hold that thought. Do you mind staying on the line just for a few more moments, and maybe you can ask him directly. I'm going to see if I can patch you in as well as I bring Brent on here in a moment. We're going to step aside though. We'll take a break. I'm going to mute you, Ken. We'll step aside. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have Brent Webster and more. Stay with us, friends. This is Good Morning Georgetown here on the Hip Radio Network. We'll be right back here in just a few moments.
Here's your Georgetown forecast from the Hip Radio Network Weather Center. Clear skies and quiet today with daytime highs approaching 91. Southwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies and quiet again tonight. Lows dip down to about 63. Highs around 87 tomorrow. Partly cloudy. Upper 80s Friday, turning much cooler on Saturday with highs in the mid-70s. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 58 degrees.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
Democrats and Republicans in the U.S. Senate reportedly reaching a deal with the White House now on a $2 trillion stimulus package that they've been debating for several days, aimed at combating the fallout from the coronavirus pandemic. Meanwhile, Vice President Mike Pence says the White House is focusing on one part of the nation when it comes to responding to the outbreak.
If you're in the New York City metropolitan area or elsewhere, to take the guidelines that we issued and avoid non-essential travel.
The heir to the British throne, Prince Charles, testing positive for the virus, reportedly displaying mild symptoms and in self-isolation in Scotland. Bernie Sanders continuing his campaign for the Democratic presidential nomination. His campaign says he's looking forward to taking part in an April debate with Joe Biden. This is USA Radio News.
Balance of nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
Well, the energy is good. You know, you hear the commercials, and it sounds, pretty hokey, to be perfectly honest. But I used to get tired at early afternoon, and now I don't get tired till evening. And I don't get sleepy as early as I used to. And I definitely have more energy. I have fewer aches and pains. I haven't had any colds. It seems to be working. So we'll keep going with it.
Don't wait to see what getting over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can do for you. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order of fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code USA.
Turkey is now charging 20 Saudi nationals for their alleged involvement in the killing of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The New York Times saying an indictment was unveiled late yesterday for the 2018 murder of the journalist at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. The indictment accusing the former deputy head of Saudi Arabia's General Intelligence Agency and a former royal court advisor of having, in its words, instigated premeditated murder with monstrous intent. A judge is denying former presidential personal attorney Michael Cohen's request for a reduced or modified prison sentence. He had wanted the court to let him serve his sentence from home because of concerns about the coronavirus. Stock futures rallying after the Senate and the Trump administration, as we mentioned moments ago, reached a deal on a coronavirus economic relief package. Dow futures up almost 600 points. And this is USA Radio News.
Broadcasting worldwide from the Ashby Real Estate Broadcast Studio. This is Hip Radio Network, Georgetown, your hometown station.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The switch is on. Welcome to Good Morning Georgetown with Rob and Ken. Waking you up in the mornings and getting your day started with the hottest hits, news, and jokes. Get ready. And now here's your hosts, Rob Hip and Ken Covington.
Well, good morning, Georgetown. Welcome back to the second half of Good Morning Georgetown right here on Hip Radio Network Georgetown, your hometown station. I'm Rob Hip. Thanks for joining us here this morning as we're trying something new. I've got Ken on the line. Ken, are you still there, by the way?
Still here.
Still got Ken, and here in just a few moments got Mr. Brent Webster that we'll be talking about, an attorney and lead counsel for Edwards Sudarwala. Can you hear us this morning as well out there, Brent?
Yes.
Awesome, man. Well, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to throw the camera right on you, buddy. We're going to get you right into the mix here this morning. Well, Brent, thanks so much for being on the show this morning, man. Appreciate you and just your willingness to be here and talk about some of the legal aspects of this stay home, stay safe order. Before we dig into that, though, Brent, you're a graduate of Southwestern University and then went on to law school, I believe, in Houston, if I'm not mistaken. I've known you since our days back at Terra Nova Church and just appreciate you and everything that you've always done, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself and just kind of how you got into what you're doing, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I came to college in Southwestern, fell in love with the community in Williamson County, and after law school I came back and I started out as an assistant county attorney and prosecuted there, and then I moved over eventually to the district attorney's office. And so I spent 10 years as a public servant in Williamson County, and since the beginning of 2017, I've been in private practice. And so I work at a law firm, and we do everything from civil litigation. I do some criminal defense, and we also do transactional work and wills as well. Awesome, man. Are you still in the Georgetown area, by the way? I haven't chatted with you in a while. Are you still here in Georgetown? I'm not in Georgetown anymore. I am still in Williamson County, though. I'm in the southern part of Williamson County. Awesome, man. Well, Brent here joining us again. Brent Webster of Edwards Sudarwala. Appreciate him being here with us this morning on Good Morning Georgetown as we're talking about the COVID-19 whole pandemic that is going on and now forcing a lot of counties and a lot of regional areas to make those decisions to put in these stay home, stay safe orders. Brent, a lot of folks have a lot of questions about this. Ken is on the line. He's got one here in a minute, and I'll bring him back on. But kind of your overall thoughts on this whole pandemic, man, and really how it's shaken up things here, not only in Williamson County, but throughout the nation, literally. Well, big picture, I have a friend right now I've been talking to daily. He has COVID-19 in Houston, and so does his wife. And the level of contagiousness with this disease is clear, that it spreads rapidly, and you can have it and not know that you have it. So I understand why the authorities are responding the way that they are. The question is it going too far? What are these measures? Are they? I get a lot of questions every day. Are these measures constitutional? And that's a question mark for some of the measures. Now, when it comes to contagious diseases, it's pretty clear cut. The authorities can restrict your movement. They can even detain you if you are contagious, if you have contagious disease. The health and safety code is clear on that. So really we're talking about two different groups of people that don't have the disease or the virus, and the people who do have the virus when it comes to restricting movement. And there's two government codes that these local authorities are gaining their power from. It's Chapter 81 of the Health and Safety Code, and then Chapter 481 of the Government Code, if you will yourself. And so this is all, of course, here in Williamson County being handed down by our Judge Bill Gravel. I know Judge Gravel really well, and he works so hard to take care of our community. And that's the thing right now, of course, Brent, is everybody trying to keep everybody safe, but it's, yes, how far do we go? And a lot of folks worried about some things that are happening. Ken is on the line, and I'll let Ken lead off with the first question because Ken is a small business owner here in Georgetown. He's having to close his business down, and things have been pretty tough for a lot of small business owners. Ken, feel free to chat with Brent for a minute.
Yeah, Brent, thank you for taking these questions. Hey, okay, I'm at my house. My question is, I have a lot of work I could do at the store. Can I get in my car and we have an alley in the back of the store. I can go through the back door. Can I get my car and park behind my store and go in my store and do work without opening? That's the question.
That's a great question. What can I ask? What type of business you have?
It's a music store business. I sell guitars and all instruments, and we do lessons, and we rent band and orchestra instruments, that kind of thing. But of course, we won't be able to do that. But can I go in there and just do personal work?
That's a great question, Ken. First of all, I've met you before. I just realized it. I've been into your store. I bought some guitar supplies from you a few years ago. So good to talk to you again.
Thank you.
So basically, if you were to categorize what's in this order for Williamson County, basically there's things that are allowed. There's activities that are allowed. And again, I'm not using the terms that are in here. I'm just summarizing it for people that are listening. There are activities you're allowed to do, and there's travel you're allowed to do. And so one of the activities that they allow you to do here, and I'm going to have to turn because I want to quote it properly. And I'm looking here at the order. You are allowed, if you are a business owner, to maintain minimum basic operations. Okay, so that includes the following: providing that your employees comply with social distancing requirements to the extent possible while carrying out such operations. So you have to, if you had someone there with you, which I understand you don't, but if you did, you'd have to maintain a 6-foot distance from that person while you're there. But you're allowed to do whatever's minimally necessary to maintain the value of the business inventory, ensure security, process payroll and employee benefits, or for related functions. The minimum necessary activities to facilitate employees of the business being able to continue to work remotely from their residences. Now, understanding what you do, and I'm a guitar player, so I understand you have a lot of valuable inventory there. So I would think that at a bare minimum, you should be able to, under that particular category, make sure your inventory is safe. And if you haven't hired a security guard, and you don't have the budget to hire a security guard, I think that at a minimum you can check on your inventory and make sure that's secure. In fact, whenever disasters happen, there's unfortunately a lot of theft and a lot of break-ins, and I know that our sheriff and our law enforcement agencies are working diligently to protect our community, but they can be everywhere all the time. And so it's important that you check on your inventory. So I would say that particular provision, you should look at that provision and ask yourself whenever you want to go up there, am I going up there in compliance with this provision? And if you are, then that's sufficient.
Okay.
So that's the answer. Good. Yeah. And Brent, it almost seems like, as we're talking to Ken Covington, who's on the phone, and then also Brent Webster here answering legal questions this morning from Edward Sutterwall. I appreciate Brent being here. Brent, it almost seems like it's almost like any business can really continue their operations, but with some restrictions now. Is that kind of how I'm making this out? Because it seems like everybody I've seen on social media this morning is still working and still doing things.
So the intention, and here's the thing that I think is a misconception on these orders. You're allowed to work. They're just restricting your engagement with people. And so people are allowed to work from home. The goal is to get as many businesses to get their employees working from home. So you can still require your employees to be productive. And there's a lot of great tools out there to make sure your employees are working when they're from home. The big issue is the businesses that have retail operations. And those are the businesses that are going to have to look hard at these orders, and they're going to have to say, hey, am I allowed to keep operating and serving the public from a storefront? That's the big question. And Ken, I think you're right. Your type of business, it would not be not considered essential, but some businesses might qualify for that. But a lot of businesses too, their employees can still work from home. I was the chief operating officer and general counsel for a e-commerce company, and that company, it's operating right now because they're all online. So their employees are probably working from home at this point.
Ken, did you have any other questions for Brent?
I guess that's about it. I probably wouldn't be able to let students in to take lessons, right? Guitar lessons if we stayed 6 foot apart. Probably couldn't do that, right?
On a quick reading of the order, I would say that probably violates the order. Now we would need to dive deep into your unique situation. But in general, if you're providing services to the public and those aren't essential, then it's not going to qualify.
Okay.
Now, I do want to add a qualifier here to all these things. To some degree, Rob, I think you asked me to come on the show from a Facebook post that I made yesterday.
Yeah, I was going to bring you in on that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I made this post about how, part of your obligation, we haven't lost our constitutional rights. And so, to whatever extent someone that is an authority wants to ask you questions about what you're doing, you don't have any obligation to give an answer. You have an obligation if you're pulled over by the police to identify yourself. So you should give them your driver's license, give them your insurance, and be polite, of course. But if the police come knocking at your door, if you're at home, you don't have to let them in unless they have a search warrant. So, there's a lot of rights you have that you need to be smart about that. And again, I'm not encouraging anybody to violate the order. You should abide by the order. That being said, you also shouldn't make it worse for yourself by, having a debate with a police officer about whether you can or cannot do whatever you're doing. There's a little known fact that people don't realize. Constitutional rights are protected in the courtroom. You don't win a constitutional battle or a constitutional argument with a police officer on the side of the road. That's not their job. Their job is to investigate whether or not they think you're violating an ordinance or a statute. And then your job is to protect your own rights. And then at a later date, you have a chance to raise those rights in court.
Well, Ken, I'm going to interject real quick because you did ask something earlier when you were on the phone, Ken, before we brought Brent on, and your question was, you said, can I get in a car and drive around with my kids? Ask Brent how you worded that question, Ken, because I think that was a really good question.
Well, say if somebody wanted to just get out and go look at the bluebonnets, can you get in your car and drive around and look at bluebonnets? or something like that, drive in the country, or is that forbidden? Or
so that's the most common question I've gotten from stay-at-home moms that I know, especially in my neighborhood. I'm getting message after message after message, and their big problem is they're like, I get in my car to entertain my kids, and we literally drive around the neighborhood. So let's talk about the order. They allow for essential travel. And I'm looking at the order right now. I got to pull up where it is. And I wanted to go through what is allowed pursuant to the order. So first of all, any travel related to the provision or access to essential activities. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Okay. But remember, essential activities, that's one way. Health operations, essential government functions, essential business, or minimum basic operations. You can also travel to care for elderly. You can travel to care for minors, dependents, persons with disabilities, or other vulnerable persons. Travel to or from educational institutions. You can travel to return to a place of residence from out the jurisdiction. You can travel required by law enforcement or court order. And you can travel required for non-residents to return to their place of residence outside the county. So people traveling through the county can drive through. Those are all the options. Now, they have a big loophole here that's called the travel related to the provision of any access to essential activities. Now, if you go to the essential activities section, and I'm sorry, this is getting pretty deep. So essential activities, you're allowed to engage in activities or perform tasks essential to their health and safety, and the safety of their family or household members, including pets. and you can go get medical supplies. You can get supplies for your family's household. You can go to engage in outdoor activity. Okay, so what I would recommend is that is a broad provision. You know, I will say I appreciate how Judge Gravel approached this in the sense that this is a fairly broad order, and you can get in your car and go drive somewhere and go walk. So you can go walking, hiking, or running somewhere. Well, to do anything outdoors, you're going to have to walk. It's pretty broad. So if you want to go take a walk in some bluebonnets, then as long as you're 6 feet away from somebody, it appears from this order that you can try to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I do remember them saying on the news last night that you could, like you wanted to go out and walk your dog, you could do that.
So they also there is a question and answer section. They're going to keep the county parks open, I believe. And don't quote me on that, but if you go to the actual order, and Rob, I don't know if you're going to link the Williamson County order to
I put it on the
comments.
Facebook. Yeah, I put it on the Facebook Live.
If you're listening to this, go to the Facebook page and read the order. And the county did a great job providing a Q&A. They even have a hotline you can call if you have questions about that. But there is a provision that if you want to go walk, if you want to go run, if you want to go hiking, you can go do that.
It's just I won't be able to go with you, Ken. You know, Ken and I were gonna take a walk in the park through the bluebonnets today, and we can't do that now, Ken. So
you can as long as you stay 6 feet apart.
So, and you may have already answered this earlier, Brent. And if you did, I apologize. I was working on a few things in the background here when we were talking to Ken. Someone had asked, can Ken still provide lessons there at if he's doing a lesson from his business but remotely with somebody? It's like he's in his own private business, no other people are there. From the way you're talking, it sounds like yes, he could do that if he was in his business and he was live streaming something back to someone else virtually. That would be okay, it sounds like.
So as long as he's complying with that provision that I talked about, where he is meeting the minimum, and again, I don't want to misquote this. I want to basic operations for his business. So as long as he is at his business for minimum basic operations, and while he's there, if he wanted to live stream with somebody, he could. There's nothing that prevents him from doing that. He could get online guitar lessons any given day. This order will not restrict his ability to give online guitar lessons to someone, as long as that person is not in the room with him.
Well, we appreciate Brent being here. We'll keep you on just for a few more moments, Brent, if you don't mind, if you've got a little bit more time. We're talking this morning with Brent Webster, an attorney, and also the senior counsel for Edwards Sutterwalla Law Firm, and appreciate him answering legal questions. If you've got any questions out there, friends, you always talk, when you talk to attorneys, you're like, I'm kind of worried because I don't want to be charged. And Brent said, look, for 2 more minutes, I'm going to answer a couple of – he's going to bill me, though, is what's going to happen. So just kidding. I know you're not, Brent. But if you got a couple of questions, please ask those, because Brent's got a couple more minutes that he's going to be here with us this morning. Ken, thank you for being here, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you. And thanks for clearing that up, Brent. I appreciate your input.
Yes, sir. Don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any more questions.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right, Ken, have a great day. Appreciate Ken Covington being here with us this morning on Good Morning Georgetown. Again, talking to Brent Webster here from Edwards Sutterwalla Law Firm as we continue Good Morning Georgetown here on HIP Radio Network. Brent, I've got a question for you. It hasn't been I'll just say it like this. I've always been very ethical with the way that we present news here on HRN and on this show. If you happen to come into contact with somebody, and I haven't, I'm just going to throw that out there, but I'm just saying if you happen to come into contact with somebody who had COVID-19, and this question was actually brought up in a private Facebook message that I had seen just a couple of days ago. I was looking around some different news sites, and this message had popped up on a private group, actually, and it said, if I come into contact with someone with COVID-19 and they didn't tell me about it, what are the legal implications of that?
Well, if you don't know about something, it's going to be hard to do something about that. So there's a practical problem there and a causation problem. Now, if you're just wildly running around acting like you don't know, but you should know, that's a different conversation, right? Practically speaking, though, the ability to like sue someone for you infecting them is going to be difficult from a causation perspective, because how do you trace where you were infected in a society like ours? It's not like we only have isolated contact with people. We've learned this virus can survive for 17 days on a non-living object. Okay, they did a study on the cruise ship where they were all there for multiple weeks. They couldn't find a place to dock the cruise ship, and the virus survived 17 days on rails and material. That's amazing. So I think there's a causation problem here, from where you were infected, how you were infected. A lot of that's speculation. And we also know that you can get infected by someone that has no idea that they have the virus. That's why I think it's so scary for these authorities and doctors.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
so
we don't know.
I think proving any type of legal liability would be hard here from an infection perspective, unless you're going around licking ice cream at HEB.
Yeah, no, hopefully nobody's doing that. And I got to credit, I've talked about them so much here on this show. I've got to give a lot of credit to of course, our first responders, those police officers that are out there, but then especially the EMTs and the nurses. I've got a friend whose sister is actually up in Seattle on the front lines there in Washington working in a hospital. And I saw a picture of her just completely decked out, in PPE, personal protective equipment, which she should be. I did have a question a little bit earlier, and this, I don't know, if you'll be able to answer this one directly or not, Brent, but someone was asking, we have this order in place, but they didn't really see an exit plan. What's the exit plan coming out of this order?
That's a great question. I think everyone's wondering that. I don't think that the statutes are providing an answer to that. As long as there is a disaster declared, these orders can be renewed. Now, again, we haven't touched today the legality or the constitutionality of these orders. We're just assuming that for the basis of this conversation today, that they are legal and they are constitutional. But that is a debate. That's a separate conversation. I would be on here all morning if we were to enter into that conversation today. But I want to be clear, everyone wants to know when this is ending, because businesses are failing. And so, if it doesn't end soon, business owners need to be talking to their lawyer. They need to be seeing what remedies they have to save their business, because there has to be some end. Otherwise, as a society, we are forever trapped in our homes.
We did have another question. I'm glad that you brought that up. I had a question texted to me a little bit ago from a small business owner saying, what I'm trying to word this in a way that kind of makes sense, because the way it came through was kind of weird, but it was basically, what legal repercussion do we have if we can't pay our rent and they're wanting to kick us out because we can't pay rent right now during this COVID-19?
So I don't want to be quoted here. I recall seeing that there has been a lift on a ban on evictions, and I would have to get back to that person. If you let me message you later, I can provide you an answer to that. Understanding is that I think the Supreme Court has put a 60-day stay on evictions, but again, I'd have to look at that source to verify that. I don't have it in front of me.
Well, Brent, I think that does it for the questions that we've had coming in here. I'll give an opportunity if anybody out there is listening on HRN, the app. You can text us at 512-686-2030. Again, that number is 512-686-2030. If you've got a question, we'll take one more question as well on the Facebook live stream. Had a couple there, and I just want to give one more final opportunity. I'll type that up, too, just so folks can see that one final opportunity for a question. If you have one, I'm reading that, Brent, as I type it, because I'm trying to extend and not have a bunch of mute audio here. It's always fun producing and doing everything on the back end. But, Brent, just one final time from you. if somebody gets pulled over, what should they do and how should they respond? You've already said that, but there may be a lot of listeners that are just joining us. That was been kind of the biggest question. So how should people respond? And really, what should they be doing during this time? I believe it's at least through April the 13th.
If you're in Central Texas and you get pulled over, my guess is you got pulled over because you committed a traffic violation. Most of our police officers and agencies here are very professional and understand that they need a reasonable suspicion to stop a vehicle. And so they are going to probably wait until you commit a traffic violation. So I would assume if you get pulled over, you've been pulled over for a traffic violation. And so address the traffic violation with the officer. Where it gets messy is most of you are probably not going to know this emergency order backwards and forwards. You know, if I get pulled over, I have a good idea of what's in this order, but most of you are not. And so just to make sure you don't say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, you may even be in compliance with the order. You might consider not telling the officer where you're going or where you're coming from, but just, be polite and, leave when he's done with the traffic violation. You don't know if that officer is investigating whether or not you're in violation of this order. And so the best thing you can do is retain your right to not incriminate yourself. It's a right to remain silent. And so be polite to the officer, comply with any orders they give. But you don't have to divulge information when you are being interviewed by a police officer. You can keep that information to yourself. You have to. Even if they say, well, sir, you need to answer this question, you can say, well, I need to talk to my lawyer before I answer that, or I'd like to not answer your question. Aside from identifying yourself, I want to be clear, you need to identify yourself if you get pulled over. But with this order, I think it's hard for a lot of citizens to know if they're compliant with the order or not. And so it's best that you just not divulge information if you can avoid it. It's also best to stay in your home as much as possible to prevent this spread. There's really two different questions here. Protect your constitutional rights as much as you can to the fullest extent, but also protect yourself. You don't get this thing.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if you want to avoid all of this, just stay at home, and then you don't have to worry about anything. I know we've got bills and stuff we've got to pay, but, Judge Gravel's done a great job here trying to considering all the pressure that's on him and so many of our other county leaders. They're trying to look out for the best interests of this county, as you know, Brent, and a lot of wonderful folks stemming from our police chief with what the work that Wayne Nero does and so many others here in our community, and even the fire department, the EMT, and all those guys are working so hard. And so we live in a community that has always just very much been a hometown feel and a community to where people come together. And I think at this time now more than ever, we need to continue that and just respect those that are trying to work through all this. And that's what I love, Brent, as you know, of course, about living to me, Georgetown is a big town now. It's not a small town. Now, new people that are moving here, which is great, they say it's a small town. To me, it's a big town now. But we still have that wonderful small town feel, and it's cool because, if you're out and about in the community, a lot of our leaders, and you've talked with them before, and you know that their heart is in the right place, and they're just trying to do what's best for our community. So, well, Brent,
Rob, you and I were in Georgetown when Walmart closed at 9, and it used to be over there where the Hobby Lobby was.
That's right, man. I was in Georgetown.
It was small.
I was going to say, I was born and raised here. I was here before that Walmart was even built. That used to be a field, and we would take a field trip to Round Rock off 35 before Super Walmart was built, man. The store when I was growing up in Georgetown was Wynn's Department Store, right next to where Family Dollar is now there on Highway 29, or University as they call it. So you know it, man, how it is.
Oh man, hey, can I share two more legal things I think your viewers should know?
Yeah, please do, man.
Whenever these crises happen, I've answered a lot about your legal rights and your constitutional rights regarding these orders. But big picture wise, I would encourage, if you're a small business owner, you should find a lawyer you trust and be getting advice about how to handle these things. I have a lot of small business owners and even some medium-sized business owners that are contacting me and asking, what do we do here? How can we protect our business as much as possible? So that needs to be a conversation you're having. The second thing, for anybody who's just a citizen that does not have a will, the other question I'm getting is people are concerned for their own health, their family's health. What happens if something happens to me? It's really important that you have a will. And so at least at the bare minimum, this is something people don't know, that you can handwrite your own will. You can go home today or right now and you can write on a piece of paper your own will out. The key is it needs to be in your handwriting only, and it needs to be signed by you. So it's important that you handwrite it, date it, and sign it on your own handwriting, and that will be sufficient. Now, it's best that you go and get a will executed by a lawyer and you make sure all the provisions in there are necessary. But in times like these, when people are actually facing the potential for their loved ones that could die, or themselves, especially if you have children or assets, you should be taking care of that will right.
Well, Brent, I think that's some great advice because, I didn't know that you could handwrite your own will. You could probably even take it a step further and just have a buddy or someone take a picture of you writing that will. Would that be a good idea? So it actually has your picture. What do you think, man?
Well, in Texas, that's a great question. A lot of people, they go online and they go to LegalZoom and they print out a will from LegalZoom and they never properly execute it. And it never actually becomes an enforceable will because they don't do it the right way. Texas allows you to actually handwrite it in your own handwriting. And yeah, if you want to have somebody videotape it, that's fine. The issue is that's your handwriting. Did you write it? Did you sign it? Did you date it? And were you in the right mind when you did it? Now, I still strongly recommend that you should hire a lawyer to do it. And people would be surprised how affordable it is. Our law firm is running a sale on wills right now just because there's such a high demand for these wills. And so, I would say if you're worried about these things, go ahead and take the time to handwrite it out today. And then, if you want to make sure it's legit, you've covered all your bases, you provided for your children, you provided for your assets, I strongly recommend you hire a lawyer to do it too. But nothing stops you from handwriting it until you can get to a lawyer to do that.
Well, as we finish up here with Brent Webster, the attorney and senior counsel with Edwards Sutterwalla Law Firm, appreciate you being here this morning, Brent. I've known you a long time, man, and just appreciate you and from our days way back in the day at Terra Nova and just seeing you do amazing things and watching your journey and your career and your family and everything grow. It's been tremendous. Brent, if somebody needs to get a hold of you, wanted to give them this opportunity, if somebody wants to reach you, you may have said some things today that said, you know what, I'd really like to talk to this guy more. I've got some questions. I may need his services. How can folks get a hold of you this morning, Brent?
I'm going to make it really simple for everybody. I'm not at my office. I'm actually sheltered in place at my home. I have a child that has medical needs, and so we don't want to be exposed to the virus. But my cell phone, I'll give you out my cell phone. It's 512-850-4250. That's 512-850-4250. You can call that line. You can also text that line. In fact, I prefer it if you can just shoot me a text if you have a question or want to set up a Zoom meeting with me. I'm happy to meet with new clients now. And that can be done in your home. You don't have to travel anywhere to meet with me. But again, 512-850-4250.
Well, Brent, appreciate you, man. And I just posted that phone number there on the Facebook commenting section so people have that number. And, we may chime back in a couple of weeks, see how you're doing, if that's cool, and I'll shoot you a message. But, again, appreciate your time this morning. A lot of very useful information for those of us that are concerned. You were talking about the Zoom meetings. I think I made a critical mistake getting out of the IT business and going into radio, man. I think I should have figured out a way to do conferencing. Those guys are probably killing it right now, man.
They are.
Well, Brent, thanks again. Appreciate you being on. It's been an honor to have you. We will talk to you soon. Once again, if you need to get a hold of Brent, you can text him at 512-850-4250. Thank you, Brent. God bless you, man, and stay safe out there. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Rob.
Well, once again, that was Brent Webster here on Good Morning Georgetown. Appreciate him being on the show this morning. And we will continue to bring you this program as we want to bring you information that is relevant, things that help you out during this whole COVID-19 pandemic. We're continuing to provide that information here on HRN. You can follow us on Twitter at HRN Georgetown, also on our Facebook page at HRN Georgetown as well. Well, friends, we're going to take another quick break. When I come back, we'll quickly go over the latest headlines throughout the U.S., and more. Stay with us as Good Morning Georgetown here on Good Morning Georgetown here on the Hip Radio Network continues. We'll be right back here in just a few moments. Thanks for staying with us this morning, friends. Good morning, Georgetown. Welcome back. I got my glasses back, by the way. I haven't had my glasses for 2 days. And for several years, I thought that I had perfect vision. This almost sounds like an intro to, a eyeglass or optometrist sponsor. That's not it at all. But I really didn't. For 2 years, I thought that I had this great vision my entire life up until a couple of years ago. I went to an eye doctor, and I encourage this. If you think that you have great vision, it's amazing when you go to an optometrist and then all of a sudden you discover, man, I really didn't have great vision because I went to an optometrist. Turns out my vision wasn't 20/20 as I thought it was, and I got glasses, and the headaches that I'd had for 2 years started going away. I had talked to somebody, and they were telling me that it was you have pain over your body. It's probably fibromyalgia. You've got headaches, all this weird stuff, but nobody ever suggested, and no offense to any of my doctors, but they never suggested get your eyes checked. And I got my eyes checked, and that's what the problem was. And I would get headaches, like eye strain headaches right above my left eye. I guess you're right, my left. And I haven't had my glasses for 2 or 3 days. I left them at my fiance's parents', and I get my glasses, and I started having headaches again. And so, I got my glasses back. I left them over there. I finally got them. A couple of headlines here this morning. We've still got a few minutes left here on Good Morning Georgetown as we're reading some articles today from the New York Times. It's a $2 trillion proposal that the Trump administration finally agreeing to that. It's under siege, though, this morning. The Senate and the Trump administration agreed early this morning on a roughly $2 trillion measure that would send direct payments and jobless benefits to individuals as well as money to states and businesses hit by the coronavirus pandemic. Again, this word for word from the New York Times Daily Briefing. The legislation, which is still being finalized, expected to be enacted within days. It's the largest fiscal stimulus package in modern U.S. history. In other developments, President Trump saying on Tuesday that he wanted to reopen the U.S. for business by Easter on April the 12th, saying he believed that a crippled economy and forced social isolation would do more harm than the spread of the virus itself. Public health experts, however, saying that lifting the restrictions now in place would result in unnecessary deaths. Global markets rising today as Dow Jones opening up earlier this morning about 15 minutes ago. Currently ahead 686 points. The Dow resting at 21,391. You remember just a few days ago on the show we were talking about the stock markets dropping. If they drop below 18,000 at the end of this month, the losses in the markets will be greater than that of the Great Recession back in the 30s. However, things stabilizing and now lifting back up. A good close yesterday as the markets closed just over 20,000 again here, approaching 21.4 this morning. And that's really good, especially for those of you that are retirees that have a lot of money locked up in investments right now and money locked up into your retirement accounts. I'm not a financial expert. My mom has her retirement in accounts, and she was nervous, saying, my goodness, everything, 25% of it's been wiped out. And look, I'm not an expert. It's just my opinion, but hold on to those things because things are definitely rebounding, and I think we're going to be back on track. It's going to be tough, though, friends, as you know, especially the small businesses in our community. It's going to be really tough, but we've got to stay in this together and stay beside each other, and we're going to get through this, and that is something that we've all got to believe. Chinese province of Hubei, where the pandemic began, lifted their travel restrictions on almost its 60 million residents today, that ending nearly a 2-month lockdown. In India, 1.3 billion people must stay in their homes for 3 weeks starting today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi acknowledged that the lockdown would create a quote-unquote a very difficult time for poor people in a country where hundreds of millions are destitute. We talked about the Olympics yesterday, those now getting postponed in Tokyo until 2021. The Yellowstone, Grand Teton, and Great Smoky Mountains national parks closed after concerns about crowding. And there are hundreds of e-commerce sites popping up all over the internet to sell products that they help can claim to fight the coronavirus, and many of them, though, being shut down for making exaggerated claims or selling phantom goods. So be careful out there on the internet. If you're looking for items, hand sanitizers, be careful because there's folks out there manufacturing hand sanitizers that aren't in the industry that don't understand that there's got to be a certain formulation for that stuff to even be effective. And so if you're manufacturing those, there's a lot of legitimate companies and there's guys that have never done it before that do know those facts. Just do your research and make sure that it's got the right components and the right ingredients of what needs to happen, because otherwise you're just buying a bunch of, let's just be honest, a bunch of gel that's doing nothing. New York, a high-risk area Vice President Mike Pence on Tuesday, just yesterday, advising people who have passed through the left city recently, or who have passed through or left the city recently, to place themselves in a 14-day quarantine. About 60% of the country's new confirmed cases of the coronavirus were in the New York City metropolitan area, officials saying. Governor Andrew Cuomo, who has emerged as the Democratic Party's most prominent voice during the crisis, he offered a grim forecast for the outbreak in the city. He continues to criticize the federal government for its slow response in sending out crucial equipment, or in his opinion, a slow response. He was quoted as saying, "You want a pat on the back for sending 400 ventilators? What are we going to do with 400 ventilators when we need 30,000? You're missing the magnitude of the problem." Also, New York Transportation Network cutting service to at least 25% after subway ridership on Tuesday. That fell 87% by nearly 4.8 million riders compared with the same day last year. So, friends, you think that we've got things going on here, thank goodness that we're not in an area where there's 8-9 million people crumpled up in a small area. Luckily, we don't have to deal with too much of that here in Central Texas. We've still got a few more minutes, about 10 minutes or so here on HIP Radio Network Georgetown. And good morning, Georgetown. Wanted to thank everybody for being a part of this program this morning. And I did want to mention that I talked about this earlier. If you are a business in Georgetown and the surrounding communities in Williamson County, I'm talking about smaller communities, such as, we may even look into Taylor, but you'll see it on our website, but smaller communities, Weir, Wahlberg, Thrall, Thorndale, Jarrell to our north. A lot of friends up in Jarrell. Love that community. Always had a heart for the folks up in Jarrell. A lot of family that I had over the years there. Look, we're putting together something here at HRN that's going to be very valuable to a lot of businesses here in the Georgetown area. A lot of folks coming together, helping out where they can. We had Rachel Hancock on yesterday, who is selling really beautiful watercolor prints that all the proceeds of those prints are going to businesses on the square and the historical district. Here at HRN, I talked about earlier, for those of you that are just joining us, one reason that we started this station and that I started it, well, one, out of passion, I love doing it, but two, born and raised here in Georgetown, I love this community, and our people have the power to get things done. Many of you, that used to be the phrase of the city of Georgetown, and I point that out often, is it was the people have the power to get things done. And I want to remind you today that we still have the power to come together and get things done and to help fellow businesses here in the Georgetown community. And what we're going to post on hrngeorgetown.com, again, around noon or so, so make sure to keep up with our social media pages. I'll post that. If you're a business in the Georgetown community or surrounding smaller communities in the area, you'll find more information about that at hrngeorgetown.com. Those that have been on the show all morning have already heard this, but I want for you to be brutally honest on a form that we're going to put out there and let us know what your exact needs are. Whether it's you need to sell products or you need to have revenue coming in and you can't sell products because you're in a retail business that's closed down right now, put on that form how much money you need. I can't make any promises and I can't guarantee that we're going to be able to generate revenue for you, but I can promise you this, that we're going to do everything that we can here at HRN and also on this show to let folks know what your needs are. And you never know who that's going to reach or where that's going to hit. And if we have to put together some sort of a GoFundMe or something, we're going to work hard here to make sure that you as a small business owner can get through this situation, because it has been terrible for a lot of folks. And unfortunately, we're just right at the beginning of this. We've got to go through this stay home, stay safe order through April, I believe it's the 13th. And then we don't know if it's going to be extended. We still have so many questions. We don't know if school is going to continue. We don't know what's going to happen with so many things in our community. But again, hrngeorgetown.com, we're going to put a form on there. And I encourage every business that has needs in our community here in Georgetown and the smaller communities surrounding, you'll see the list of other communities that we're going to help out. Please put down your business and your needs and be brutally honest with what your needs are. I've got a spider here coming down from the ceiling. That's pretty cool. Never see that. Little tiny spider just kind of floating around in the air. But anyways, that's the ADD kicking in, friends. Anyways, again, fill out that form when we have it. If you're a small business owner, I've talked to business owners who are worried about losing their homes right now. I've talked to business owners who can't pay their bills. I've talked to business owners who are scratching their heads saying we may go out of business. There's some new businesses that are in town that say we may not even get to open up business because we're so worried about how things are working out. I don't think it's a time to panic, but it's absolutely a time that we need to come together as a community. And we talk so much about being a community and supporting local businesses. Now is the time to really act and to help out each other. I know that there's a lot of folks individually that need help in the community. We're still going to support those as much as we can as well. Robert's Printing, I'll have to get with John Montgomery now with the stay home, stay safe orders. We were accepting donations and passing out some of those to people in need. That focus may shift over to nonprofits now that are carrying out a little bit bigger efforts. But again, with the stay home, stay safe orders, not sure exactly how all that is working out. Wanted to go over some quick Georgetown news. We've talked a lot on the national level. We've got about 7 minutes remaining here this morning on Good Morning Georgetown. These articles coming from the Williamson County Sun. We appreciate Clark Thurman and all of the fine folks at the Sun. By the way, if you don't get the paper, look, you guys need to subscribe to the Williamson County Sun. They have been generous enough to allow us to read some of their articles. I just give little teasers on those. For the full information, get the newspaper. I think it's very important that print and audio media such as us on radio work together. But there's so much value and benefit in the local paper. I read it every time I get a copy. I like to go over some of the articles here from the Williamson County Sun. This is the paper that is coming out today. Here's the cool thing. If you subscribe to the paper, our local Williamson County Sun paper, it's just been around, I believe, over 143 years now, which is unbelievable. You also get the e-edition at no additional cost, and that is really cool. From the Williamson County Sun, in today's paper, Williamson County ordering the area to shelter in place. Williamson County announced a shelter in place, as you all know, yesterday, March the 24th. We had that right here on HRN on the live stream. March 24th, after an ongoing increase in COVID-19 cases in the county. The order effective at midnight, March the 24th, asking community members to stay home to the greatest extent possible and stay safe. This will last through April the 13th. The public can still get necessary supplies, engage in tasks essential to health and safety, continue to work for essential businesses, and engage in outdoor activities while following social distancing rules. Again, for more information on this article and more, subscribe to the Williamson County Sun newspaper. There's a picture right on the front of the paper this morning that is really incredible, and it also goes to show us that it's more than just places and things being closed down, friends. We have young kids who still need to eat, that they depend on the school system to get their food. In fact, some educators joining us. Good morning to you, Mr. Pete Zinner, who has been an integral part of Georgetown education for so many years. Appreciate you joining us. As you know, Pete, and so many others that are out there, there's kids out there that still need to be able to eat. There's kids that need to depend on that because that's what their parents use. They have to have that. There's a beautiful picture by Andy Sharp, who I know very well, does a wonderful job with photography, on the front page of the Sun this morning. And it's an Annie Pearl Elementary School first grader receiving a lunch from a Pearl teacher and behavior specialist Ashley Norman during GISD's food service pickup at the school on Monday. The schools are closed, of course, because of the coronavirus, but the district continuing to provide breakfast and lunches to families with drive-through or walk-up service. In addition to the food, families provided learning resources to take home. This article and on the caption of this picture, Annie Pearl receiving 217 breakfast and 465 lunches on Monday. Distributions continuing through local school closures. Breakfast serving 7:30 to 9:30 and lunch from 11 to 1 at Frost Elementary School and Tippett that are also serving meals. Brad Stutzman article here on the front page as well. A couple of sentences here as they're already talking about the upcoming races in the political spectrum being postponed or could be postponed. This again by Brad Stutzman out of the Williamson County Sun. Technically speaking, local cities and school districts are free to proceed with their scheduled May the 2nd elections. But as a practical matter, that probably won't happen as COVID-19 has led Williamson County's elections departments to step back from the process. The governor issued a proclamation last week authorizing or giving official permission to political subdivisions in postponing their respective May 2nd elections. That quoted by County Elections Administrator Chris Davis saying on Monday, it's up to each individual political subdivision to order the postponement. We have seen things so far as elections and things taking place. Of course, early voting in those elections had been scheduled to begin on April the 20th. The election scheduled for May the 2nd. If any choose to remain to May 2nd, they're going to have to conduct their elections themselves, Mr. Davis said. To date, we have not yet received word on what they've decided. Statewide Democratic Party primary runoffs originally scheduled for May the 26th. Those have been pushed back to July the 14th. Florence, Granger, and Bartlett usually conduct their city and school board elections on the first Saturday in May. Really a little bit of good news here for Miss Lisa Hofstra. Thanks to social media, her laptop was stolen. This also on the front page. This article by Catherine Anthony, the Williamson County Sun newspaper. It's a story of theft, community, and the power of social media. It begins with a laptop sitting where it's always sat, on the counter at Red Poppy Cafe, a cafe in the Georgetown Public Library. One moment, the laptop there. The next moment, well, it's gone. Cafe owner Lisa Hofstra was a little too trusting, she admits, but after all, the laptop had always been left alone. She's quoted as saying, I have a small shop, a small space to serve customers and manage the business. The counter is my desk. So it happened on Wednesday, March the 18th. Someone took advantage of her trusting nature near closing time and helped himself to her laptop. She said, I went to pick it up and go home, and it was gone. I was shocked, angry, and worried at all those things. She checked the security cameras at the cafe, and there, right on the video, her laptop digitally heading out the door, tucked under the arm of a stranger. To find out what happened, she got it back. You want to read the article, though. Pretty interesting story about the power of social media and just how things went a little viral for Lisa. She got her laptop back. The Census Bureau extending their deadline. Many of you are receiving letters in the mail. You can do it, honestly, through the computer. I did mine just yesterday. It literally took 8 minutes to do the census. But not even the U.S. Census mandated by the Constitution and conducted every 10 years since 1790 is immune from COVID-19. The Census Bureau has announced a deadline for completing its extended count by 2 weeks. They've extended it by 2 weeks from the end of July until mid-August. Starting on March the 12th, household nationwide started receiving thousands of postcards from the Census Bureau with instructions on how to respond. People can answer those questions online, by paper, or over the telephone. Early progress towards getting a complete nationwide count has reportedly been significant. So, again, that being extended as well. For more information, that article by Brad Stutzman, again, subscribe to the Williamson County Sun newspaper. City services will continue. Wanted to point that out. As of right now, the city will continue the trash pickup as normal and all of your regular city services. So don't expect too much there as far as this shelter in place or stay at home, stay safe order. Again, we'll have more information on that. Please follow us on Twitter at HRN Georgetown. Also, please make sure to follow us on Facebook as well, as we will keep you up to date. And again, around noon today, we're going to release that questionnaire one final time, and I want to be so adamant about this. If you are a business in the community that needs help, whether it's financial or whatever your needs may be, please fill out that form that we're going to put on our website around noon today. Let us know your needs, and we will work to get those needs out and let folks in the community know. There's so many things floating around and people asking, how can I help? Well, here's an opportunity now for you to really pinpoint exactly what you need. Friends, as always, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you every morning. Tomorrow morning, got my special friend and guest who will be back on the show. He's been on it numerous times. He'll be joining us by remote. Mr. Chad Jackson of Chad Jackson Gospel. He's dropped a few more songs. we definitely want to keep up with him. Just an incredible man of faith. I've watched him transform his life. It's going to be exciting to hear from him. So we'll talk to Chad Jackson tomorrow morning. And then on Friday morning, I'm telling you, we've already got things lined up here the rest of the week. It's all done remotely. On Friday morning, we'll have Amanda Murphy from A1 Smartphone and Tablet Repairs that's joining us as well. She's a sponsor right here on the Hip Radio Network. By the way, if you're a business and you want to continue to promote your message, we would love to hear from you. We have an amazing platform that we've been so blessed to be able to bring to Georgetown here on the Hip Radio Network, as well as the Good Morning Georgetown show. So please feel free to comment or reach out to me directly, and I can talk to you about promoting your business and getting you some exposure, especially during these times with COVID-19. So make sure to join us again tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. We'll be back on the air with the latest news, weather, and more. National headlines, local news. We'll have it all for you. And, of course, the latest COVID-19 updates. If you don't, by the way, have the app, search for Hip Radio Network on the App Store on Android or your iPhone. Download the app, because this station is more than just this show, that we also live stream on Facebook to help gain exposure. We're on the app as well, 24/7, 365, with U.S. national headline updates every hour, weather every 30 minutes. Friends, I'm Rob Hipp. Thanks for joining us here on Good Morning Georgetown. This show presented and made possible in part by the Oak Ridge Disciple House, Mr. Joshua Harris. The Oak Ridge Disciple House, a faith-based Christian character building ministry, a nonprofit 501c3, helping men 18 and older who are suffering from alcohol and drug addiction. If you or someone you know needs help, there is light at the end of the tunnel. That light can be found through the Oak Ridge Disciple House. For more information, visit them online at oakridgedisciplehouse.com. Friends, thanks for being part of this program this morning. I'm Rob Hipp. One final time this morning, reminding you that we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other. Provide a word of encouragement. Lend a hand of support. Somebody out there today needs you. Good morning, Georgetown, and God bless. We'll see you bright and early back at 7 a.m. right here on Good Morning Georgetown on the Hip Radio Network. Have a wonderful and blessed day, everybody, and stay safe.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
After weeks of mixed messages and then days of conflicting reports, the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has announced that Japan will delay the 2020 Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo until next year as a result of the global coronavirus pandemic. Here in the United States, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she is still optimistic that a deal will be struck soon on a huge economic stimulus package to help businesses and American workers in the face of the crisis. Pelosi saying Senate Democrats are doing the right thing in renegotiating a Republican stimulus bill.
We all appreciate the urgency. It's a big responsibility to do it right and for where we can find shared values.
Pelosi telling CNBC that the GOP bill was too focused on corporations and needs to help American workers more. And this is USA Radio News.
Do you have an idea for an invention or new product? Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Then call InventHelp now. InventHelp keeps your idea confidential and explains every step of the invention process. We create professional materials representing your idea and submit it to companies who are looking for new ideas. We have more than 9,000 companies who have agreed to review ideas in confidence. If a company shows interest in manufacturing your invention, we can negotiate on your behalf. We have helped over 10,000 clients receive patents. We also offer services including 3D modeling and animation demonstrating your idea, prototyping services, and we use state-of-the-art technology to show InventHelp client ideas to additional companies. Join the thousands of people just like you who chose InventHelp to pursue their idea. We are experienced. We are working for you. We are InventHelp.
Call us for free information at 1-800-460-1663. That's 1-800-460-1663. Again, 1-800-460-1663.
Ford Motor Company is now shifting gears from making automobiles and trucks to making ventilators and respirators. The company says it's working with 3M on producing more respirators, while the partnership with GE is designed to make additional ventilators, supplies that are much needed now that the number of coronavirus cases around the nation is increasing at such a rapid rate. Even rapper Snoop Dogg is telling people to stay home. The California Governor Gavin Newsom tweeting a video message from the rapper in which the dog was urging people to just stay inside until further notice.
Real important message. I need y'all to stay in the house for me, man. Real talk. I need everybody to stay in the house. I know it's hard, but we got to stay in the house so we can get this thing, under control.
After a slow start this morning, Wall Street is higher in early trading. The Dow back up over 20,000. And you're listening to USA Radio News.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-610-5739. 800-610-5739. That's 800-610-5739. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
A key Federal Reserve policymaker predicting pretty bad things about the nation's economy. For one thing, James Bullard, the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, says the unemployment rate could hit 30% this year as a result of the pandemic. And he says the economy could also see a 50% drop in gross domestic product in the second quarter of the year. But looking ahead, Bullard does say he would expect the economy to then start to rebound sometime later this year. Kent State University canceling the May 4th shooting commemoration because of the outbreak. University officials announcing that all 50th anniversary events have been canceled. A virtual program, though, is in the works so that the school can honor the 4 students who were shot and killed by National Guardsmen during a Vietnam War protest on campus back in 1970. And Amazon is trying to help keep kids entertained while they're in quarantine because of the pandemic. The company has made most of its kids' shows and movies free, from certain TBS shows to a list of nearly 100 family-friendly movies. To access all the free movies and shows, you just sign in with a valid Amazon account. And you can log on and check us out online at usaradio.com. For USA Radio News, I'm Chris Barnes.
Here's your Georgetown forecast from the Hip Radio Network Weather Center. Clear skies and quiet today with daytime highs approaching 91. Southwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies and quiet again tonight. Lows dip down to about 63. Highs around 87 tomorrow, partly cloudy. Upper 80s Friday, turning much cooler on Saturday with highs in the mid-70s. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 58 degrees.
Broadcasting worldwide from the Ashby Real Estate Broadcast Studio. This is Hip Radio Network, Georgetown, your hometown station.